Hi guys, JT here, and today I'm bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle Remedy 30th Anniversary Bundle of September 2025. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? By using the links in the description below, you'll gain access to this bundle and support the channel in the process. Before I begin, I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for watching my silly videos. I hope they're helpful. Most importantly, knowing that you're watching it means the world. Anyway, let's get into this. At number 1 we have Alan Wake 2 Deluxe Edition, a surreal survival horror sequel that ties into Remedy's wider universe, blending psychological nightmare, meta storytelling, and classic survival mechanics. Set 13 years after the original, you follow both Alan Wake, trapped in a dark place, and Saga Anderson, an FBI agent investigating ritual murders in Bright Falls. You can switch between their storylines, uncovering eerie parallels that constantly keep you guessing. This is not just a spooky thriller like the first game, it is true survival horror. You must manage scarce resources, use light to burn away the Taken's shadowy defenses, and endure nerve-wracking stretches of quiet before brutal combat erupts. Wolves stalking you in the forest, or Taken shambling out of the dark create unforgettable moments of tension. The gunplay feels weighty and impactful, though enemies sometimes appear in ways that feel a bit forced. What really makes this game shine is its storytelling. Remedy indulges in its strangest, boldest ideas, weaving live-action footage, detective-style corkboards, quirky local TV ads, and even musical sequences into one gloriously bizarre tapestry. Reality, fiction, and Remedy's own history blur together in fascinating ways, sometimes convoluted, often hilarious, always creative. Visually, Alan Wake 2 is stunning, with near-seamless transitions between in-game animation and live action. However, the demanding specs may prevent many from experiencing it at full fidelity. Despite some uneven enemy design and inventory quirks, this is Remedy at its most confident, Nordic, surreal, ambitious, and unashamedly itself. If you crave horror that's both frightening and wildly imaginative, Alan Wake 2 will leave you haunted long after the credits roll. The Deluxe Edition adds an expansion pass with 2 story expansions, Night Springs and Lake House, plus exclusive cosmetics like Alan's celebrity suit, Saga's Crimson Windbreaker, and weapon skins. Night Springs offers 3 stylized episodes starring alternative versions of familiar characters, while Lake House takes you to a sinister FBC facility at Cauldron Lake with new enemies, weapons, and mysteries. At number 2 we have FBC Firebreak, a 3-player co-op horde shooter set in Remedy's surreal universe, expanding on the worlds of Alan Wake and Control. You take on the role of a Firebreak operative, an elite squad tasked with handling bizarre supernatural outbreaks inside the oldest house. Instead of a single overarching story, each job acts as a self-contained mission, where you might be battling explosive pink goo, eradicating swarms of sticky notes, or repairing haunted machinery. It is wonderfully weird, and the tone is consistently playful, with sharp writing and amusing character banter keeping things lively. The core of the game lies in its kits, which acts as flexible classes. The Fix kit focuses on repairs and turrets, the Jump kit electrifies enemies while blasting across vertical maps, and the Splash kit manipulates water to extinguish fires or empower allies. Each kit has unique tools, utilities, and para-utilities, which synergize brilliantly together, encouraging teamwork. Progression is equally engaging, letting you unlock weapons, grenades, perks, and cosmetics with resources earned in jobs. With up to 48 perks to experiment with, you can build some truly wild combinations. Not every mission hits the same highs though. Some objectives become repetitive, and later jobs don't always escalate in complexity as effectively as standouts like Paper Chase. Still, the variety of enemies, eerie anomalies, and boss fights like the infamous Sticky Ricky keeps things fresh. Backed by strong sound design, striking visuals, and excellent weapon feel, FBC Firebreak delivers a weird, stylish, and addictive co-op experience that begs you to return for just one more run. Just note that this bundle gives you a 25% off coupon, as opposed to the game itself. At number 3 we have Quantum Break, a cinematic story-rich sci-fi action game that fuses third-person shooting with live-action TV episodes to create a one-of-a-kind experience. You play as Jack Joyce, a man caught in a catastrophic time fracture, armed with time manipulation powers, and facing off against a former friend turned time-warping villain. The storytelling is ambitious, letting your choices shape both gameplay and the live action show that follows each act. This format makes Quantum Break feel like a binge-worthy TV series, intertwined with the game. It stars recognizable talent like Shawn Ashmore and Aidan Gillen, and the performances are genuinely compelling. Combat starts strong, dashing through time, freezing enemies mid-motion, and tossing time bombs feels slick and satisfying. But as the game progresses, you might find the shooting a bit repetitive, especially when the flashier enemies begin to resist your powers. The final boss battle in particular is a noticeable difficulty spike that could frustrate you into lowering the difficulty just to finish. Visually, it still looks impressive for a 2016 title, and it runs surprisingly well on platforms like the Steam Deck with a few tweaks. However, performance issues and stuttering have been reported, which can break immersion in a game all about fractured time. If you're into strong narratives, sci-fi themes, and experimental formats, Quantum Break is worth playing. Just be prepared for a few rough edges. It may not be flawless, but its bold approach to storytelling makes it a memorable ride. At number 4 we have Control Ultimate Edition, a science fiction action game. The game follows the story of Jessie Faden, who discovers she has supernatural abilities and becomes a director of the Federal Bureau of Control, FBC, a secret government agency tasked with investigating paranormal phenomena. One of the most impressive aspects of Control is its gameplay mechanics. The game features a mix of exploration, puzzle solving, and combat, with players able to use a variety of telekinetic powers and firearms to defeat enemies and overcome obstacles. The game's world is also highly interactive, with players able to use their telekinetic powers to move objects and create new paths through the game's environment. The game's story is also impressive, with a mix of science fiction and horror elements. Jessie's journey takes her through a variety of different locations within the FBC's headquarters, known as the Oldest House, each with its own secrets and dangers. The game's use of lore and documents scattered throughout the game world also adds to the story, allowing players to learn more about the game's world and its characters. Control Ultimate Edition includes all of the game's previously released DLC content, including the excellent Alan Wake expansion, which ties the game's story into the broader Remedy Entertainment universe. The Ultimate Edition also includes improved graphics and performance, making it a definitive version of the game. However, the game does have some flaws. The game's difficulty can be uneven at times, with some encounters feeling frustratingly difficult while others are a breeze. The game's story can also be confusing at times, with some plot points feeling underdeveloped or rushed. Control Ultimate Edition is a substantial game, with a main story that can take around 15 to 20 hours to complete. The game's DLC content also adds several hours of additional gameplay, making it a great value for fans of action and science fiction games. In conclusion, Control Ultimate Edition is an excellent science fiction action game that offers a unique and immersive gameplay experience. While the game may have some flaws in its difficulty and story, the game's strengths more than make up for it. If you're a fan of action games or are looking for a unique and immersive world to explore, Control Ultimate Edition is definitely worth checking out. At number 5 we have Alan Wake Remastered, a story-driven horror game that first released in 2010, now polished for modern audiences. You step into the shoes of Alan Wake, a writer whose peaceful vacation in Bright Falls spirals into a nightmare where his wife Alice goes missing. What begins as a dream quickly shifts into a reality, where shadow-possessed humans known as the Taken stalk you in the dark. The combat is unique because you must burn away the darkness with your flashlight before enemies can be harmed. This mechanic, alongside flares and flare guns, keeps encounters tense and engaging, rather than repetitive. While Alan's stamina can feel limiting, the system adds suspense and forces you to think tactically. Narrative sits at the heart of the experience. As you explore the forests, towns, and eerie locations of Bright Falls, you uncover manuscript pages that deepen both the story and its characters. They add a literary flavor that makes the game feel like a suspense novel unfolding around you. The remaster enhances this further. Character models, facial animations, and cutscenes look sharper and more cinematic, pulling you deeper into the story. Bright Falls itself feels more atmospheric, with cozy diners and haunting woods rendered in greater detail. There are flaws. Certain collectibles are locked behind nightmare difficulty, and some enemy encounters can frustrate. Still, these issues pale compared to the gripping narrative, inventive combat, and overall atmosphere. If you enjoy suspenseful narrative-driven games, Alan Wake Remastered is a must-play experience. At number 6 we have Alan Wake, a captivating survival horror game that delves into the world of a writer struggling with his own creation. The game offers a unique blend of mystery, evil, and darkness within shifting rules that keep you engaged. The story revolves around Alan Wake, a writer whose work draws inspiration from authors like Stephen King. This game cleverly combines elements of parody, homage, and self-awareness to create a compelling narrative. Wake's journey is a thrilling tale of mystery and combat, set in the world where light battles darkness. The combat mechanics are centered on your trusty torch and other sources of light, providing a tense and immersive experience. Your encounters with poltergeists, puddles, crows, and humanoid enemies require strategic use of light and ammunition, creating a teeth-greetingly tense atmosphere. The game's combat system is expertly designed to keep you on your toes, with well-timed dodges and resource management being crucial for survival. Alan Wake also excels in its visuals and level design. The game looks great, with cleverly designed levels that make you feel like you're exploring more than you actually are. The misty and hallucinatory atmosphere adds to the intensity of the gameplay. The influences of renowned creators like Stephen King, David Lynch, Alfred Hitchcock, and Rod Serling are evident, and you'll likely discover more references on your own. Despite occasional triteness in the script due to the main character's writer's block, these issues are overshadowed by the thrilling experience. Alan Wake is not a game for casual play, but rather one to be experienced, hunched over a keyboard with headphones, fully immersed in his nerve-shredding world. It's a skin-twitching survival game that, despite taking its time, offers an intense and compelling gaming experience. At number 7 we have Max Payne, a third-person action game that drops you into a dark cinematic tale of revenge, crime, and survival. You play as a titular cop whose life shatters when his wife and child are brutally murdered by drug addicts. Consumed by grief, you infiltrate New York's criminal underworld, only to be framed for the murder of your DEA partner. From that point on, you're hunted by both the mob and the police, leaving you with nothing to lose but vengeance. The defining feature is bullet time, a slow-motion mechanic that lets you dodge, dive, and return fire in true John Woo style. It is not just flashy, it is a crucial tool, since you take damage as easily as your enemies. Carefully timing your dives and conserving bullet time becomes the difference between pulling off stylish kills or collapsing in a hail of gunfire. Watching bullets carve trails through the air as shells fly in slow motion is still mesmerizing even today. The story unfolds through graphic novel-style panels that embrace noir sensibilities. These stylized sequences break up the relentless action while fleshing out Max's internal struggle. The environments, snow-covered streets, seedy bars, burning restaurants, immerse you in a bleak yet striking version of New York. Even today, the fire effects, atmospheric snow, and photorealistic textures hold up surprisingly well. The game is not perfect, enemy AI can be clumsy, and the missions sometimes lack variety. Still, the gripping story, stylish mechanics, and groundbreaking visuals make Max Payne an unforgettable experience. At number 8 we have Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, a third-person noir shooter that continues the tragic tale of NYPD detective Max Payne. 2 years after the events of the first game, you find Max cleared of charges but still haunted by the loss of his wife. When an investigation leads you to discover that the assassin Mona Sachs is still alive, you're pulled into a web of conspiracy, betrayal, and doomed romance. The gameplay sticks closely to the formula of the original, but nearly every system is more refined. Bullet time is smoother and easier to use, allowing for stylish slow-motion dives and precise gunplay. Combat now supports both primary and secondary weapons, while improved AI makes encounters more tactical, forcing you to conserve ammo and health items. You even step into Mona's shoes at certain points, adding variety. The story, however, is the real highlight. Told through graphic novel panels and in-game cutscenes, it captures the hard-boiled film noir atmosphere that defines the series. Themes of love, loss, and corruption are front and center, with Mona and Max's relationship providing compelling emotional core. The moody soundtrack and atmospheric visuals amplify the sense of grit and melancholy. At around 6 hours, the game is shorter than the original, and some fans may wish for more content. Still, multiple difficulty modes add replay value. In a bundle, this game remains excellent value. Max Payne 2 doesn't reinvent the formula, but polishes it into a tighter, more emotional experience. At number 9 we have Death Rally, a top-down vehicular combat racer that thrives on chaos, destruction, and pure arcade energy. Originally a cult classic from the 90s, this remake brings back the formula with modern polish while keeping the spirit intact. You're not just racing to the finish line, you're strapping guns to your car, blasting rivals, and leaving burning wrecks in your wake. Victory often comes less from crossing the line first, and more from making sure no one else survives long enough to challenge you. The gameplay loop is simple but addictive. You enter races, earn cash, upgrade your cars, and unlock bigger weapons. Boss drivers, challenge events, and career progression keep the action from feeling one note, while sabotage and dirty tricks add flavor to every run. Explosions, mines, and gunfire turn each race into a demolition derby where quick reflexes matter as much as clever upgrades. Visually, Death Rally holds up surprisingly well for a remake of an old DOS game. The gritty tracks, from desert circuits to icy roads, give variety, and the effects deliver the right mix of flashy and chaotic. The heavy metal-inspired soundtrack matches the mayhem perfectly. Not everything lands though. Some players find the grind repetitive, and controller handling can feel clunky compared to the more intuitive keyboard setup. Multiplayer exists, but is inconsistent in player activity, making single player the main draw. Still, if you want fast, loud, and unapologetically destructive racing, Death Rally delivers a brutal, nostalgic thrill ride. At number 10 we have Alan Wake's American Nightmare, a standalone spin-off that throws you into Night Springs, Arizona, where reality bends and repetition traps you in a surreal time loop. You once again step into Alan Wake's shoes, this time facing his sinister doppelganger, Mr. Scratch, whose twisted charm and sadistic antics steal every scene. The story unfolds like an episode of a pulpy TV show, complete with manuscript pages, live-action clips, and a narrator who frames Alan as the champion of light. What makes this game unique is the way it layers narrative and atmosphere. You encounter characters caught in the same loop, uncover fragments of story through pages, and watch Mr. Scratch deliver monologues that are both unsettling and strangely entertaining. The presentation is slick, and while some cutscenes look a little stiff, the mix of live action and gameplay give the experience a unique edge. Combat is more varied than the original Alan Wake. Larger arenas allow you to retreat, regroup, and strategize, while new enemy types, from splitters to bird swarms, add unpredictability. Still, the core mechanic of weakening enemies with your flashlight before shooting them can feel repetitive. The arsenal is bigger this time though, and flare guns or flashbangs makes encounters more exciting. Beyond the story, the arcade mode offers survival challenges against waves of Taken. It is tense, fast, and rewarding if you enjoy chasing high scores. With strong storytelling, great atmosphere, and the unforgettable Mr. Scratch, this spin-off is a worthy companion to Alan Wake, even if the combat is not perfect. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is honestly a pretty sweet deal if you're into Remedy's games. You're getting some all-time classics like Max Payne 1 and 2, the cult hit Alan Wake with its spin-off, and then the big one, Alan Wake 2. Sure, it stings that it's Epic exclusive, and Firebreak's absence feels like a miss, but value-wise, it is still stacked. If you've been meaning to dive deeper into the Remedyverse, this is the perfect time to lock it all in. In any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and maybe consider buying the channel a coffee. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.